I took care of my twin brother after his accident. Bathed him. Fed him. Helped him walk again. Then one day I found out he'd been sleeping with my wife. When I asked him why, he said, "You took my life. I took yours." I didn't respond. I just packed a bag and walked out, but not before slipping something into the desk drawer he always kept locked. I sat in that motel room staring at the popcorn ceiling, thinking about every single moment I'd taken care of Joel. Every sponge bath. Every blister I bandaged. Every bowl of soup I made while he sat there, watching me like I was some kind of idiot. And all that time, he was screwing my wife. But I didn't scream. I didn't trash anything. That's not me. I don't throw punches. I plan. The next morning, I called out of work. Told them I needed more time off for family reasons. They were understanding. I'd worked there over a decade, never asked for much. Then I started digging. I had copies of everything from Joel's burner phone, texts between him and Sophie, selfies she'd sent him, plans they made. They were using hotel rooms on her lunch breaks. Sometimes at our own house when I was out grocery shopping or running errands for Joel. One message stood out: Joel. He's too nice to notice. He'd probably thank us if we told him. That one hurt. Not because it was cruel, but because it was true. I had been blind. I went through bank records, our shared calendar, receipts. I built a timeline. I found charges for a motel just outside town, the Pine Hollow Inn. Real dumpy place. I called and asked if anyone had rented room 8 on the 12th of the previous month. The guy didn't ask questions. Said yeah, same couple rents it once or twice a month. Gave me the names they used, Mr. and Mrs. Carter. Sophie's maiden name was Carter. I wasn't surprised. Just tired. First, I met with a lawyer. Not for divorce, yet, but to get information. I wanted to know what I was walking into. What my rights were. What would happen if I dropped everything on the table. We had no kids. Just a house, one joint account, 2 cars. The lawyer was blunt. Said infidelity doesn't hold much weight in divorce court anymore unless there's financial misconduct or proof of it harming shared assets. I had a thought. What if Joel had moved money? What if Sophie had helped? So I started checking. Turns out Joel had opened a new bank account recently. Sophie had wired him money from our joint savings. Not a lot, just under $2,000 over 3 months. Labeled as grocery reimbursement and car repairs. That was my in. I printed everything. Photos. Texts. Bank transfers. Copies of hotel bookings. My goal wasn't to destroy her legally. I wanted her to see herself. Really see what she'd done. As for Joel, my plan for him was different. 2 weeks passed. I didn't contact them. I let them live in silence, wondering where I'd gone. I knew Sophie would tell people I needed space, or some midlife crisis story. Then I made my move. I emailed Joel. Subject: just so you know, you want to say I took your life? Nah. You wrecked your own. But I'm done playing the nurse. I'm not coming back. You're on your own. Oh, and I left a little surprise in your desk. You'll find it eventually. I knew he'd open that drawer. And I knew he'd find the flash drive. On that drive was everything: photos of him getting help walking. Me holding him up. Texts from Sophie telling him how good I'd been. Their hotel receipts. And a 10-minute screen recording of all their messages, one by one, synced in chronological order. But I also added something else. A short video. Of me, in that motel room, saying this. You wanted to take my life, Joel? Fine. You can keep the pieces. But when those pieces start falling apart, don't come running back. I won't be there. I needed Sophie to feel it too. Not just guilt. Consequences. So I printed everything and put it in an envelope. Then I mailed it to her parents. Her boss, a small law firm, she was a paralegal. Her best friend, Marissa. The one who introduced us. The letter was short. You might want to ask Sophie what she's been doing while I was taking care of my crippled brother. I didn't stick around to hear the fallout. But I had a friend at Sophie's office. 3 days later, I got a text. She didn't show up to work today. Big drama at the office. You okay? I didn't reply. Remember that bank account? The one Sophie was sneaking money into? I called Joel's landlord. Posed as someone from his new employer's HR department. Doing income verification. Said I needed to confirm if he had stable income, or if he was living off gifts or support. The landlord didn't give me much, just said Joel was month to month. And late a couple times. So I sent the landlord an anonymous envelope, too. Inside, a note. Your tenant is using illegal funds gifted under false pretenses. You may want to do a background check. Along with photocopies of Sophie's wire transfers. I don't know what happened right away. But a month later, Joel had moved out. Last I heard, he was living in a basement apartment behind a gas station in Oneida. Still not done. Because revenge, real revenge, needs to twist the knife slowly. And I was just getting warmed up. 2 months passed. I stayed quiet. No texts. No emails. Nothing. I wanted them to wonder where I was. What I was doing. I knew Joel. Knew how that silence would eat at him. He thrived on control. And now? He had no idea what was coming next. I wasn't hiding. I was just waiting. Watching. I moved into a small rental house about 20 minutes outside Syracuse, in Eastwood. Quiet street. Old place, but clean. Paid 6 months in advance, cash. No paper trail. I needed room to think. I started going back to work. Just a few days a week. My boss gave me space. Said he was glad I was healing. If only he knew. That's when I saw her again. Sophie. It was a Sunday morning. I'd stopped at Wegmans to grab some groceries. She was in the produce section. Alone. Wearing sunglasses indoors. I almost didn't recognize her. She turned and saw me. Stopped dead. Derek, she whispered. I didn't say anything. Just looked at her. She stepped closer, like she wasn't sure if I'd hit her or hug her. Can we talk? I shrugged. About what? I didn't mean for it to happen. She said. He was there. You were always busy, always tired. And he. I raised my hand. Cut her off. You slept with my brother while I was wiping his ass. Don't pretend it was complicated. She started crying. I watched her wipe her nose with the back of her hand like a kid. Where are you staying? She asked. Nowhere you'll ever find. Are you seeing someone? I actually laughed. Is that what you care about? I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, voice cracking. I leaned in real close and said, You hurt me every time you looked me in the eye and lied. Then I walked away. Didn't even buy the groceries. That came 3 days later. I was driving home from work when I got pulled over. Unmarked car. 2 officers. One walked up slow, like I was a threat. Mr. Taylor? He asked. Yeah. Can you step out of the vehicle? My stomach dropped. What is this about? We've had a report filed. Someone says you've been making threats. Harassment. Possibly stalking. I knew right then, Joel. I kept calm. Let them search my car. Let them ask their questions. Showed my ID, my clean record. They let me go after 20 minutes. But that wasn't the end of it. I got a knock on my door the next day. A process server. Legal papers. Joel had filed for a restraining order. Claimed I intimidated him. Said I was obsessed. That I was sending threats, harassing his landlord, following Sophie. He wanted to make me look like the unstable one. The bitter brother. The crazy ex. I called my lawyer. Sent him everything, Joel's texts, the flash drive contents, Sophie's messages, the bank transfers. He said something I'll never forget. This is going to get ugly. And messy. But if you stay calm, you'll win. So I stayed calm. But I also made a new plan. I made another copy of the burner phone messages. This time, formatted like a timeline, with dates, times, and GPS data pulled from the photo metadata. Then I found a reporter. Her name was Carly. Local investigative journalist. Small newspaper, but she had a reputation for digging into stories others wouldn't touch. I emailed her under a fake name. Told her I had proof of a small-town sex scandal involving a disabled man, his brother, and the brother's wife. Said it involved misuse of medical resources, identity manipulation, and fake police reports. She responded within hours. Let's meet. We met at a diner. I showed her everything, on my laptop, off a clean flash drive. I didn't tell her my name. Didn't need to. She asked. Why are you showing me this? I looked her in the eye and said, Because some people only understand consequences when the world sees who they really are. She promised to dig. I believed her. Joel tried to paint me as the villain. Sophie wanted sympathy. But neither of them knew what was coming. Not yet. Because you can't destroy someone who already lost everything. But you can make sure they lose what they have left. And that was my next move. It took Carly 10 days to get back to me. She sent me a simple message. I've confirmed most of it. I want to run the story. Are you sure you want this out there? I replied. Run it. Use your judgment. I trust you. I didn't care if my name got dragged through the mud. I didn't care if it made me look like a bitter ex or a cold-hearted brother. This wasn't about saving face. This was about truth. It was a Wednesday morning. Front page of the Syracuse Standard, right under the weather report. Betrayal behind closed doors. Disabled man and sister-in-law's affair sparks legal storm. Carly kept names out of the headline, but anyone in our circle knew who it was. She laid it out clean. Joel's accident, how I cared for him, the affair with my wife, the money transfers, the restraining order, everything. All backed with receipts. It wasn't a tabloid hit job. It was calm, factual, and brutal. She ended it with a quote from an anonymous source. You can't take someone's life and expect them to keep building yours. The fallout started fast. He had just started getting back into freelance web work, trying to rebrand himself. A few gigs here, a local podcast he helped with design. All of that dried up overnight. People canceled contracts. Clients ghosted him. I found his Reddit account. He posted in a local Syracuse subreddit. How do you come back from being publicly humiliated by someone you once called family? He got downvoted into oblivion. One reply stood out. Maybe don't screw over the guy who kept you alive, dumbass. Turns out Carly had called her office for comment before the article dropped. Her firm didn't like surprises, especially ones tied to legal drama and public embarrassment. She wasn't fired, but she was encouraged to resign. I heard from a mutual friend that she moved back in with her parents in Baldwinsville. Told them it was all lies. But her mom knew me. Knew Joel. They didn't believe her. She tried texting me. First, how could you do this? Then, I lost everything. Are you happy? Finally, you're evil. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I got a call from Marissa, Sophie's old best friend, the one I'd sent the original envelope to. She and I hadn't spoken since the mess started, but she sounded wired. You'll want to hear this, she said. Apparently, Sophie had started telling people Joel pressured her. Said he manipulated her when she was vulnerable. Said he made her feel like she owed him something for being the good guy's brother. Classic spin. But Joel didn't take it lying down. He went online. Made a long Facebook post tagging her, saying she was the one who started it. That she used him for comfort. And led him on. It was pathetic. Two drowning people clawing at each other. I screenshot every post. Just in case. About a month later, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. An actual, handwritten letter. From Joel. It was 3 pages long. Messy handwriting. Smelled like cigarettes and something sour. I could barely get through it. But one paragraph stuck out. I wasn't trying to ruin your life. I really wasn't. I hated needing you. Every day I sat there feeling weak, watching you act like some hero. Then Sophie came in, and she looked at me like I was still a man. It felt good. For the first time in months, I felt alive. I didn't plan it. But once it started, I couldn't stop. She made me feel human again. I read that paragraph over and over. No apology. Just a confession disguised as an excuse. And something in me finally broke loose. I wasn't going to touch him. I wasn't going to scream. But I was going to end this, once and for all. Because Joel still thought he had a piece of my life. Still thought he mattered. So I made sure that the one thing he needed most, attention, was the one thing he'd never get again. I was going to erase him. From everyone. And that's exactly what I started doing next. I waited 2 more months. Let the smoke settle. Let them think I had moved on. Let Joel think his letter made me feel something. Let Sophie believe maybe she could get her old life back if she just laid low long enough. But I wasn't done. This wasn't about rage anymore. This was about removal. Total removal. I wanted to make sure that neither of them would ever crawl their way back into a normal life without stepping through the wreckage they built. I knew he was trying to rebuild his reputation online. He'd started freelancing under a new alias. JT Design Services. I found the site, the Fiverr profile, even the LinkedIn with a fake work history. He used a stock photo as his profile picture. Different name, different story. So I made a burner account. Hired him for a small job. Paid fast. Left a glowing review. Then I hired him again. Bigger job. This time, I claimed I needed a fake digital certificate to verify credentials. For a made-up IT course. Illegal? Yes. Tempting? Also yes. He agreed. Made it. Send it. Boom. Screenshot. Reported the account. I submitted it to Fiverr, LinkedIn, Google Business. I also forwarded everything, emails, files, his IP address, the fake name, to 2 of his past clients, the ones from his original site, and his landlord, who I was still tracking through public court records. Fiverr banned him. LinkedIn wiped his profile. His site host shut him down for terms of service violations. His reputation online? Gone. She'd been quiet for a while. I knew she was working at some private notary office. Low pay, mostly clerical stuff. But I dug deeper. Turns out, she was also doing part-time real estate licensing work. She'd signed up for a mentorship group on Facebook and even did some open house assistant jobs on weekends. So I made another burner profile, this time pretending to be a potential homebuyer. I met her at an open house. She didn't recognize me. I'd grown a beard, lost weight. Sunglasses helped too. I walked through the property, asked dumb questions. Took pictures. Acted like I was really interested. Then I sent a message to the firm she was affiliated with. You should know your part-time assistant is the subject of a very public affair scandal involving a disabled man, a married woman, and possible misuse of shared funds. Not the kind of story buyers like hearing about. Attached the article. Attached her quote. Attached court records. She got dropped within the week. One last letter. Typed clean, direct. You raised her. Maybe you still love her. That's fine. But you should know what she did. You should know the kind of person she let herself become. I gave her my heart. My trust. My life. She traded it for my broken brother's attention. I won't speak to her again. That door is closed. I suggest you lock yours too. I never heard back from them. But through a family friend, I found out she'd been asked to move out. She was crashing on a friend's couch in Liverpool. Driving a borrowed car. No job. No Joel. Because that was the last twist, Joel and Sophie had turned on each other completely. She blamed him for the fallout. Said he used her. Said he ruined her. He, in turn, went around saying she was unstable, obsessed, a liar. They made each other miserable. I didn't have to do anything. I just gave them the rope. They tied the knot themselves. After everything, I was alone. I had no wife. No brother. No marriage. No real social circle left. A few friends stuck around, but most drifted away. The story was too much for them. Too messy. At first I hated it. Then I saw it for what it was, peace. I bought a used pickup. Took a job out in the Finger Lakes. Small town work. Nobody knew me. I liked it that way. At night I'd sit on the porch with a beer and think about the old life. The lies. The months I spent washing the skin of a man who was plotting behind my back. And I'd feel nothing. Not anger. Not regret. Just silence. Because in the end, I didn't get revenge by screaming or fighting. I got revenge by erasing them. By showing them exactly who they were. And making sure the whole world saw it too. Joel moved downstate last I heard. Renting a room from someone who didn't know his name. Sophie tried to start a blog about healing after betrayal. It flopped. 3 posts in, she deleted the whole thing. They exist. Somewhere. But not in my world. In my world they're ghosts. And I'm free.